Hello and welcome to my Ever Messy Art Studio. My name is Keeks and today we have a special sketchbook tour. And this is definitely one of my thicker ones that I've done because this is a Royal Talon, so it has a bunch of pages in it. And it's got everything from stickers, paints, stamps, collage, you name it, it's all in here. And this was my random daily that I would normally do big projects in. So let's get ready for that sketchbook tour. As far as the stickers, a lot of these I just got from random sticker books on Amazon. I believe this one's from Dutch Bros. This one was Lavender Cowboy Art, and so was this one. Other than that, these are all just random ones from Amazon. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started and see what we've got. So let me adjust the camera here. There we go. I think we're in full swing now. Oops, sorry about that. But this one is a park that's in Lake St. Louis. And so I drew a map of it and kind of journaled where we went. And then this is a baby fawn that followed us to the creek. And this is the creek. And this was the log. So this was really cool because this was all from, I took a bunch of pictures while we were walking around and then came home and drew what I wanted to from our trip, which made it really special. And this first piece of art was done August 3rd of 2025. And today is actually the day that I consider this one finished. And today is 2/20 of 26. So let's see here, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So it's been about 6 months with this guy. I love this spread. This spread's so funny. It's betta fish and they're just like kind of squaring off against each other because if you know anything about betta fish, when they're in the same tank as each other, they get really mad. In fact, if you have what's called a sorority of betta fish, which are female betta fish, you have to have at least 6 of them and they will establish a pecking order, which is pretty insane. But yeah, so this is my betta fish spread and I love it. So creative. This was another trail that we went to. This one is at the August A. Bush Memorial Conservation. So on this one, it's really funny because you get almost to the end of the trail. So you're going through here and then you get to right about here. So that's all the way around basically. And there's this broken down bridge. So you have to actually go under the bridge and climb over it. So that's kind of fun. This one here kind of smudged a bit, and at first I was really mad about it, but now I kind of like it because it kind of makes it look stylized. So you've got a stick with a shadow, and it looks like all the fixins to make maybe some marshmallows, and then you've got a pine cone on the stick. So I just thought that that was really fun. And then over here we have this dog that I found on, I want to say Unsplashed. I just loved how this dog looked and I was like, I need to draw this dog. And this was around August, so I was already kind of thinking of Halloween in a way, and I love all the fall colors to this one. That dog looks so cute. And then we've got my ringed salamanders. Now the fun thing about those is I did turn them into a keychain. Let me see if I can find one real quick. I feel like I saw one over here. Yeah. I turned it into this keychain. Let me open it. That I was gonna sell on my shop on Etsy, and I just decided not to, which is a real shame because these are so cool. Look at it. Let me hold it up closer. But yeah, this is the keychain it turned into, and it's double-sided. It's very cute. But yeah, so this is my spotted salamander, and this one is a ringed salamander. And then on this side, I was playing around with doing different types of spreads with these squares. Like, I really liked the colors. And so I did some bones. And I remember I drew these two and was so happy with how this bone turned out that it actually took me several days before I even attempted to draw these two because I was so afraid that I was going to mess up the bones. And I just loved how this one is. And I was like, how can I beat that? Okay, so just like in any sketchbook, you're gonna have some unfinished works. So this is one that I was originally going to try to draw, and it was gonna be a drink of some kind. But I just didn't like how it was going, so I didn't finish it. And then on this side is a picture of these 3 little chicks that are baby woodpeckers that are coming out of a hole in the tree. So I love that one. I really like how I try to add the mossy elements in there. Next we have a fawn that's laying in there, and it says, no matter how old you are, you'll always be my baby. So I like to imagine that this beautiful fawn is actually my baby Ronan. And then I have these sunny flowers, and I imagine that these are supposed to be like not dragonflies, fireflies in the sky. So yeah. And then over here I was drawing some more fish. This is a cockatoo dwarf cichlid. This is a tetra. That also looks like some sort of a cichlid. And then these two I was just kind of messing around. I ran out of ideas, so I just drew some crappy fish with pens. Okay, so this fox is awful, like terrible. But later on I redo a different fox and it turns out much better. So I'm actually not mad at this one because now I have a reference within the same period of time where I did a crappy fox versus a good fox. And then on this side we just have like a bunch of bugs. I even see a ladybug in here. I see some spiders, a stick bug, a fly. And I was just testing out my black Tombos. So one was a harder liner and one was a softer one. So I was just kind of testing to see what those felt like. And I really liked them as liners. I think they worked out pretty well. There was a while where I was really entranced by landscapes. I was watching a lot of Katie Moody videos then, and so I was trying to find out my style as a landscape artist. And I would try to draw these really beautiful scenes. Like, I really love this one. And then this one, I want to say, was actually with one of her Patreon videos, because I am a Patreon member. So I think I did this one with that because I remember doing the gates with her references. Here's some more. Now this one, I found this beautiful picture on Unsplash, and it didn't have all the flowers on it, but it had everything else. So I added the flowers to this, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like, I think it's beautiful, it's relaxing, and I want to go there. And speaking of places I want to go, I also want to go here, because doesn't that field look so relaxing and beautiful? Like, I love the teeny tiny little flowers that are in the background. Like, I feel like I tried super hard on that one. I just love how it turned out. We're still in August. It's only August 11th. On this one, I was messing around with like a little character. I just named her Marta for no reason. And I was like, I've got the dance wiggles, because it occurs to me that a lot of the times when I draw humans, I draw really stiff poses. So I wanted to draw something that was kind of goofy and fun. And then over here, this one's really cool. So this one right here is actually it's a landscape, but it was done on a jelly plate, which makes it really cool. So it was a circle jelly plate. I popped it in there, and I believe I used pastels with it, the pan pastels, and some acrylic paint. So I think I also see some Artex markers in here, and it turned out pretty cool. And then I did the rest of the page with a stencil, and then I just kind of decorated it with stuff. And it says, even on the day we met, it felt as if we knew each other for every yesterday we had ever known. And I put like some postage in here. Like, I had a lot of fun doing that page. This one was from a Scroll and Scribble. I believe this one was one where I was actually watching art by Heather, and this one was one that I rolled myself. So yeah. I don't know why, but sometimes I put the derpiest expressions on fish. He's so derpy and dumb looking. Okay, so this one was definitely with Patreon. So this one was with a Katie Moody Patreon, where she had these 3 pots and we all watercolored at the same time, and it was really fast. I was like, oh my goodness. And then this one is also from her Patreon. This was like a garden that she visited and took a picture of, so we all had the same reference, and I oversaturated it a little bit here, but you can see where I wiped it with the paper towel and it left the imprint markings of the paper towel, which I actually quite like texture wise. Then I was angry about it. Now I don't mind it so much. I really like how organic this one over here feels too. So this one's interesting. So this was a picture from Unsplashed, and it was actually, they're both the same picture. The only difference is I took the bicycle out of this one, but like the plants, everything were the same. So I drew like a quick drawing of it, like a quick like 2-minute drawing here. And then over here is the one that I actually spent time on doing, but I wasn't really sure that I could do the bicycle. So I decided to cut that element out and do the things I knew I could so that I could make it look cool. And I love that they're side by side with each other. So on this one, we went to the zoo, and so I use this as kind of like a journaling page because I absolutely love watching other artists do that in their journals. So I was talking about how derpy and adorable these drafts were, and how this little tiny adorable like giraffe that I thought was a baby was actually the second oldest one, which is really cute. And then she went to like eat something and just kind of splooted, and I was like, oh, how cute. So I have a picture somewhere on my cell phone of a giraffe just splooting, and that's what I drew the pictures off of. So this is a picture of my hands, and I feel like one hand I drew really well, and then this hand here looked like a Bob's Burgers hand. So I remember I was actually videotaping this one, and I was like, haha, let's make fun of it together. And it was inspired by Sophie McPike. Both of these pages actually were, because what she does is she puts down splats of color and then draws on top of it. So that's what I was trying to do. And then the other thing that she does is she will do at least one picture of herself in each of her journals. So at the time I had purple hair, and this is what I felt like I looked like. So I drew it, and I think I did a really good job. I'm curious to see how in my next journal that I would try to draw myself. But she tries to do it at least once in each journal so she can kind of see how she feels like she's changed. This one was really cool. This one was done in plein air. This one I went to, I think it's Fort Zumwalt Park, yeah. And I actually took my camera out, and not only was I plein airing, but I was recording the plein air, which felt so exciting and crazy, but also a bit ambitious. So I did like this picture, and they're actually 2 separate pictures, but they ended up lining up pretty well because this was my left view and this was my right hand view. So I thought that was pretty funny that they just kind of lined up anyway. But yeah, I had a lot of fun drawing that one. I'm most happy with how this bench turned out. This bench looks baller. I want to say this was done with Neocolor 2s and a small, I have a little baby watercolor palette. Do I see it handy? Oh yeah, I do. It's this guy right here. It's from my Rosemary & Co. and it's my little magnetic guys. Oops, there we go. Yeah, so it's just a little watercolor palette. I can't wait till it warms up again so I can start using it again. And that was August 21st, it looks like. Okay, so these are my diva plants. I don't know why, but I really, like, whenever I'm bored and I don't know what to draw, sometimes I'll just draw ridiculous looking plants. And these are my diva plants. I call them divas because all of them have these big lips and they just look sassy and cute. So yeah. And I was just experimenting a lot with different shapes and colors, different combinations of things, what they looked like, what I thought looked best. Like this one, I wanted to have a real, like, Mario vibe to it almost, and this one I wanted to have like a 70s or 60s vibe. This was around the time where I was looking for my apprenticeship, and I remember I was like, I better draw some stuff that looks hard. So I drew some roses and I drew some skulls and I drew this cool spider skull guy and some mushrooms and this dude here, and it did actually help me get my apprenticeship. In case you weren't at my last sketchbook tour, I did unfortunately stop my apprenticeship after the first of the year due to some personal reasons, as well as I just didn't feel like it was fitting my art style. I was questioning myself a lot. But I absolutely loved that shop. It's called Machine and Ink. If you ever want to visit the St. Peter's area in Missouri, they are an awesome shop, and I absolutely loved the people that I worked with there. So it looks like I drew this on September 29th of 25. So there's a little jump in time there. And then this was just me messing around when I was bored. So I was trying to do different fonts. And then over here, I was just trying to draw a really simplistic Tombow picture. So yeah, just some silly stuff that I was trying. Okay, so this one is upside down. But this was inspired by Sophie McPike. This is actually one of her paintings that she did, and I redid it. It's kind of like a master study in a way. But I'm really in love with how she uses quilt patterns and how she uses these big, bold, beautiful women in her pictures that are real and have hair and everything. So I just wanted to draw my version of it. And then this lady, I believe she is someone who is in an advertisement or something, like Old Navy maybe, and I just thought that she looked adorable with her curls and she looked so happy, so I wanted to redraw her. And then I just I wrote the words that I was thinking at the time. So it was strong, comfy, happy, loved, warm, and cozy. And that was on October 17th of 25. So around here is whenever I start having problems. So what was happening in my mind is I was really starting to doubt my drawing abilities. And so I was having really bad artist block. So one of the things I did is I tried to draw a bunch of like figure studies and just in different action poses in different colors. And I thought that looked really fun. It looked like they were dancing. And then over here I was like, I'm bored, I don't know what to draw, so I just drew a pumpkin. These here, I was also kind of playing with the idea of putting different backgrounds behind drawings, what that would look like, while I'm still trying to play with different poses and stuff. I think the hardest one to draw was the baby, because babies just have this, like, I don't know, like if you draw them just wrong, they look like old people instead of babies. So I've always struggled with babies. Some hands, because I was worried that I suck at drawing hands, which I do, but I like my style of hands. These are a bunch of Sophie McPike inspired different thumbnails. So she said take like 2 colors or 3 colors and do a really super limited palette and see how many different landscapes you can draw with them. And I feel like I did pretty good. Like, these are pretty fun. And I feel like they're all different and creative. This one was actually based on a more completed picture that I did in my apprentice journal at the time. So I did a few thumbnails, I did a basic draw of what I wanted, and then I drew a finalized version. This was me trying to draw hands again, and I was getting really frustrated because all of them just looked really overdone. And then Ronan said, "No, Mommy, you're doing it wrong." And he was so sweet, and he put his hand there, and he had me trace his hand, and I was like, you know what, Ronan, that is the right way to do hands, thank you. So it was really sweet. So I wrote Ronan's hand helping on 10/30 of 25. I love this spread, and see, I told you that I would fix the fox problem, but I don't know, I just love how playful and illustrative this one looks, like both of these really. But I like how this one's something I would almost see in one of Ronan's toddler books. Like, I love that. And then I redeemed myself with foxes, I feel like. My mentor was having me draw a bunch of foxes one day, and so then I came home and did this one, and I feel like it looks really cool. I did blobs of color down first and then went over it with Artix markers on both of these. This one I was playing around with intuitive pieces, and this is one where you do a bunch of scribbles and then you try to, well, you kind of try to make it into something, and I thought this looked kind of like a bird, so that's what I ended up making it into. And then this was just playing around with different tiles and different color patterns and ideas. I wanted to make it as garish as possible. Here I was trying to draw some Christmas type stuff. On this side you can't really tell, but I was trying to do 2 eyes and trying to make them look the same, but I never did draw the eye over here. And then this is actually done in graphite pencil, and it ended up stamping over here, which is fine. So this right here is where I was starting to realize that maybe my perfectionism was getting in the way of my apprenticeship quite a bit, because I wrote so many questions about myself that were so, like, I don't know, demeaning, probably. But I ended up drawing 2 really beautiful pictures from it, from being sad. And over here was just like a monster that I made up, like a creature. And that was on December 5th of 25. Some more creature drawings. I was trying to do some exercises where you draw scribbles and then try to make something out of it, but it wasn't really working for me. And then over here I was going to draw a picture of our family, but then I messed up on my face and didn't know how to fix it. So I went skip. This is where I started to finally start feeling like myself a little bit better. So I've lost my swatch book. I don't know what happened to it. So I was like, fine, I will just stick my swatches in this book. So what I did is I did my Artistro swatches over here. I did it on light and dark, and then I made a picture with it over here. A nice little abstract. And then I did the same thing with my second set, which are all the golds. And I made something over here. I love these two. So these are inspired by a YouTuber named Pua Pualina, and she just starts out and she just scribbles everywhere. And at the end, it somehow ends up into this wonderful, awesome piece. And she doesn't care what she uses. Like, she'll use pastels, she'll use pencils, she'll use paint, she'll use whatever and just slap it down. And by the end, she has this functioning piece. So I was trying to study her style to see if maybe I could make something similar. And I think I did pretty good. This over here, I feel like, was me kind of marking my depression a bit, because I still felt pretty depressed about where, you know, that I didn't feel like my apprenticeship was going where I thought it would go. And then this is just a random scribble. This one I never finished, but this was one where Art by Heather was going to do a page of fish, and I wanted to do a page of fish too, but I never got to finish it. Like, I think I got interrupted for something and then just never came back to it. Look, my fish always have such crazy expressions on their faces. So this is whenever I was testing gouache palettes. I'd never used gouache before, and I filmed myself painting two birds. So I thought it was really fun, and it was interesting because I was messing around with color mixing, because in the gouache book I have, it tells you how to make your own colors. So I found that really fun and interesting. So this next pages are pages of houses. Both of these images are probably from Pinterest. So this one was more of a fall one, so I just kind of played around with different mark making and different stuff like that. And then this one was kind of like a Halloween looking house. And these were done on January 3rd of 2025. I did both of them on the same day. I like this one the best, just because I like how whimsical everything looks, and I really like how I did the shading on the windows. This is a concept art that I was kind of thinking about, because one time in Colorado, my husband and I ate at this restaurant where the back wall was just fish, and it was like big swimming tunas and stuff. So I was thinking about maybe eventually doing a painting or something based on that. And then this is me playing with oil pastels. So I have an oil pastel journal, and I was trying to do the exercises that were in it to see how it would work. This is a page where I got frustrated. I was trying to do an Art by Heather scroll and scribble, and I got to this donkey, and I got to the birdhouse, and the birdhouse I just couldn't get right, and after messing with that donkey for so long, I was just so frustrated. So I remember I just went rah, like that, because I was mad. Some little snails. This is a trumpet snail. This is probably just like some sort of mystery snail. A little blue shrimpy guy. Some eggs, because why not? Okay, here I am testing gouache again. So this is the 48 Hemi color gouaches. And this was the first painting that I did with them. I just was like slapping colors down, and suddenly I was like, hey, those look like rocks. So then I made it into a cave. This was on January 10th of 26. And in there, I don't know if you could see, but there's actually some little guys in there with yellow eyes. So they're like peeping out the cave. We don't know what they are. They could be a bear. They could be an alien. We don't know. This is another one that I did with a gouache. It's just got a bunch of melons on it. And then this one right here, I need to clean this, so excuse me. But this is based off of this guy. So I was really excited. I hadn't received him yet. So I was just kind of drawing something to remind me of him while I waited in excitement. This is just a page where I was testing some more gouache backgrounds, but then I didn't know what to draw over the background, so I put a bunch of stickers instead, because Caran d'Ache always gives you a bunch of these random stickers and you never know what to do with them. So I was like, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. This one right here is another gouache painting I was doing. I was trying to see what would happen if I put more layers in my pieces, and I layered them too thick, I think, because you can't see the other layers that are underneath them. So it didn't really create the depth that I wanted, and I also struggle with rocks a lot. Rocks are my weakness. I haven't drawn humans in a while, so these are two dancers that I found on Pinterest. So I drew them, and then I also drew some trees, some whimsical trees with some tombos. Just playing around. These are a couple of intuitive drawings that didn't really turn into anything. I do like the colors I used though. This is whenever I got my first Ferris press inks. So this was whenever I was testing them out to see what I thought about them. And then this is whenever I got the colored pencils that have the multicolor leads in them. And so I drew a bunch of bears around in a circle and put, "You are very cute." This painting right here is actually this guy here. So I think I did a pretty good job. I think you could tell that it was the same guy. I'm really proud of how he turned out. I really liked him. Because one thing that artists always say is if you don't know what to draw, draw what's around you. So that's what I was trying to do. And then this you probably can't tell because I don't think the camera can get that detailed, but every other leaf was blue or green with that Ferris print ink. And then I found these XOs in my scrap pile and just popped them on there because I thought it looked kind of cool and modern. This one says, "Imagination is the only weapon in the war against reality." And I just liked that quote, so I popped her in there with some colors. And then this over here was, I was experimenting with a cat book, like a watercoloring cats kind of book. And this is one of the pictures that it wanted you to draw. So I drew my version of it and then added things to it the way I saw fit. So I really like how it turned out. This is one of those days where you're just like, I just want to make sure I put something on the page and I don't care what else happens. So I just put this little plastic fish here and then drew a scene around him, but it didn't really turn into anything. And then this one was kind of a fun scroll and scribble. I really like the colors that I ended up using. And I think I was still thinking of Pua Paulina and the different color options she uses, and I think that influenced my colors a lot. That was on January 22nd of 26. Okay, so I'm actually pretty proud of how this one turned out because, like I said, I haven't drawn humans in a really long time. So this is actually a Fortnite character called Sepha, and so I dressed her up as a protester because I thought that would be really fun. But yeah, I love her design, and I love her hair. I think it looks really cool. And then over here I tried to do a layered watercolor painting with some cactuses, but I kept getting confused on my layers and mixing them up, so it didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to, but it does look interesting. This one was kind of one where I just was bored, didn't know what to draw, and so I wrote "Thoughts are temporary, you are forever." And so I did kind of like a dark versus light. And once again, I was just playing with my Artix pens. This one I named "I'm Bored," and it's just a flower. I love how I just wrote my thoughts there. That's funny. And that was on January 23rd to 26th. And then this one over here is a collage. I was really inspired by these bees and by how like scrappy everything looked. So I just did like a little collage there. This is also whenever I started watching some videos by Art with M, and she had been making flowers, so I tried to collage my own flowers out of my own scraps. And I think it turned out pretty fun. I really like this piece. I love the colors. This is a random cicada that I did with colored pencils. And this one, I'm pretty sure had to do with an ad on Pinterest. Like, I'm sure it was trying to sell me furniture or something like that. And I just really liked it and was like, I guess I would buy that furniture. So I ended up drawing it. This one here was another collage that was inspired by Art with M, and I kind of doodled over here what I wanted the vibe to be like, and then I put all the elements in here, and I think I did a pretty good job for one of my first collages where everything, well actually this is the first collage where everything was handmade by me, so I'm pretty proud of that. And that was on January 24th of 25. Over here we have some birds from Burb Fest. I'm pretty sure that the first two are in one of my other art journals. This is the razorbill, the golden-headed mannequin, and the king eider. I think they look okay. The only thing that kind of sucked is I went to write the wrong name of the wrong bird, and I tried to get rid of it and I couldn't quite get rid of it. Instead, I think I drew more attention to it, but that's okay. This was a scroll and scribble, and I really enjoyed how this grilled cheese turned out. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but this grilled cheese makes me very, very happy, and I like how dynamic it looks. And I really like this dog, because I don't do dogs very often because they kind of scare me a little bit, because there's something about the shape of them. Dogs and cats are really hard for me to draw. So I'm just really proud of how that one turned out. And then this little ladybug on a flower. This is another collage I did. This one's more of a Dee Dee Willingham-esque collage. I've got a lot of different images from the Alice in Wonderland cut and collage book on there, and I'm like, have a spot of tea, and used some different card making paper and put those in there too. I like the overall vibe of it. It's very fun. This is another collage I tried to do. So this was number 6 for Burb Fest. And this was the drawing I did of what I wanted to accomplish. And this is what I did accomplish. I think this was a very ambitious piece, especially because I knew I was trying to make a recognizable bird. But I'm proud that I tried and gave it my best shot, and hopefully next time I'll be a little bit better at it. It's the Northern Emerald Toucanet. So this one is based off of an earring that I have that's made of polymer clay, and I just redrew what was on the earring. That was on January 27th of 26. I don't know what this is. I think it's intuitive drawing, but I don't remember what this is supposed to be. It's very weird, but I don't remember it. These were whenever I was originally going to make 5 bird ATCs for Joanne Newman. I need to put these in the mail, but these are the ones I actually made for her. So I did end up making the Andean Cock of the Rock, and I did end up doing the Stellar Sea Eagle, and I did the American Purple Guignol, and then the other 2 that I did were abstracts, so I didn't end up doing the other 2 that I had planned to do. Sorry, Joanne, I'll get these in the mail to you soon. But yeah, I am still really, like, I still really think that this was a fun way to plan them in thumbnails. Then this, I don't know, I was inspired by kind of those random bits of art that you find on like cups and stuff, where people just draw like weird little images. So I drew this weird octopus alien guy who's in like a suit. He's supposed to be in like a space suit. And this like basketball looking thing is a planet. And then I found a stamp that had an astronaut on it. And then that inspired me to do a whole page of stamps with SpongeBob in the middle, because SpongeBob is awesome. My other favorites in here, well, there's so many, is this cool looking rhino and this elephant. Definitely think they're neat. This one right here is supposed to be a cat sitting in a window, but I'm not really sure that you can actually tell that if I hadn't said that. I think that was a pretty low effort day. And then this one says choose to always grow, and I think this was kind of a low effort page too, so I think I was just trying to put something on the paper but wasn't really feeling it. This is a Pinterest one here where it was just like a street view, and this was on February 2nd of 26, but I really like how the colors ended up doing, because I normally would not have chosen this color palette, I don't think, but that's why I liked the picture so much, because it looked like something that I wouldn't normally draw. And then these over here were hybrid animal ideas for Janet M. Young's scavenger hunt. So these are like just some ideas of different animals I could do. I think I'm actually gonna end up doing a sushi cat, because I got some stickers of sushi cats and I think they're really cute. This is this cool looking crow and I gave it 3 eyes. And it was actually based off of a picture by Caroline Art. She was doing a drawing like that and I was trying to follow along with it, so it's inspired by her type of art. And this is just 2 ducks hanging out. Looks like a baby duck and maybe a daddy duck. Over here I got really mad. I was trying to film my Ferris wheel press whenever I got the Galforce green and this radiant rose. And I was trying to draw a bird scene, but every time I put something down it just looked worse and worse, so I actually ended up scrapping that video and refilming it, but in my other sketchbook. These are some flowers, and I don't know if you can see, but in the background are a bunch of mini flowers. Yeah, so the whole page is covered in miniature flowers. And it's just I wanted to play around with backgrounds. These are Venus flytraps. I wanted to draw messy ones with flies swarming around them, so I did that, and that was on 2/5 of 26. This was a picture from Pinterest. It was just this old woman and she was I don't know if it was like a real photo or if it was AI, but whatever was going on, the windows were super weird. And I don't know why, but it was kind of captivating, so I drew it. I was like, why not? And then this one's also inspired by Caroline Art. She like did this like four-winged like cat, and I absolutely loved it, so I was trying to draw it along with her, and this is what I came up with. This was from my video where I was making my own carved stamps. I have since made a few others that I'm liking so far, so I might use this book, or I might use my next book as a way of making thumbnails to try and carve those out. This year I was trying to do some colored pencil coloring techniques that were in a book, but I was finding that the book was being overcomplicated with what colors that they were using, and mine were not turning out like theirs. These were some scroll and scribbles from Pinterest. I love how this turned out. So this was on 12/12 and 12/13. So I drew these awesome stingrays and filmed the whole process. And then the next day I ended up drawing a red-tailed catfish. I forgot the word tailed. But this little guy here reminds me of a little baby one that my husband and I saw in a fish tank once. It was like this big, a little nugget. And the crazy thing is those babies get huge. So these were drawings where I was using one of those drawing books where they tell you to draw like different circles and stuff, and eventually the circles turn into something. So what I was doing was each time it told me to draw something, I was doing it in a different color and seeing how that would turn out. I definitely think I like the rat the best, but probably the alien the second best. These two are scroll and scribbles from Pinterest. And this was actually a pattern from a sweater that was being sold on Pinterest, like in one of the advertisements. Fried tomatoes. I love how bright this is. And then this is a cow, and it says, "Moo, bitch, I'm a cow," like the song. Yeah, don't ask, it's a funny song. This here was, I went to the Lunar New Year. Well, I didn't go to it. I attended it virtually with my company. And it's the year of the fire horse for the 2026 Chinese Lunar New Year. So I just drew a little fire horse, and then afterwards realized that it looked a lot like a ponyta, even though that's not really what I was going for. And then on this page, I had bought a sticker book with like a bunch of little kawaii stickers on it, but I thought that it was going to be like this, where it was like a whole sticker. No, it's a bunch of little stickers and you have to put the scene together, and I thought that was kind of crazy. So I tried to do it, and yeah, that was the result. This was me. I was really bored and didn't know what to draw. So I drew an eyeball crying, but then I was like, that's not enough. So then I like spilled the crying everywhere, like as if her like tears had some sort of weird power around her. And yeah, if I didn't want to run out of all my black, I would have blacked out the rest of this page. This one I was watching Caroline Art again, and she was drawing a Shiba Inu that had a fish tank body. So I was just being inspired by that. This is my big snake. I love my big snake, and I did him completely in colored pencil, and I haven't done anything completely in colored pencil in a while, so I was really proud of that. I think it turned out really cool, and I absolutely love these negative spaces I left in the paper. I feel like it gives it a more vintagey design. This is just a kitty that I was trying to study because I have a really hard time drawing kitties, and it says stretch. And then these are some vegetables, so just a wow, I forgot what eggplant was. Just an eggplant, a pepper, and some peas. I really enjoyed those. I had a lot of fun drawing this one. I drew the rest of this today because I wanted to finish this book, and I absolutely love how this one turned out. Like, it's supposed to be a little boat, and then this is supposed to be a dock, and you've got the water reflections. Like, I think I did this one pretty good. And then I drew this cute little tomato frog. We used to actually own a tomato frog. They don't live very long. Just a few years. This is kind of like a monstera. And then this was a 2-minute sketch warm-up, even though I really had already warmed up. And then lastly, I was trying to draw a bat, but I wasn't really happy with it, so I just left it as is. And that is my finished sketchbook that I finished on February 20th of 2026. So hopefully you enjoyed the sketchbook tour, and maybe I inspired you, and also kind of let you know that it's okay whenever your head's not in a great space. Still try to create something. Try to make something positive with that negative energy. And hopefully I'll see you next time. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for coming. If you're new, welcome. And I'll see you next time. Bye!